Welcome in to Make Your Money Matter. I'm your host, Brad Barrett. Hey, if you haven't noticed, it's year end. And I want to ask a question. Have you thought about how you maximize everything with regards to tax savings? And in particular, what I want to talk about today is giving to charity or things that you care about. So stay tuned today. We're going to talk about that. And I think it's important because especially during year end to talk about things like donating stock or appreciated stock to charity. I think it's really important to consider some of these things. But before we go through that, make sure to smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get into it. So most people throughout a year consider giving things like cash for tithing or offerings or things like that, or to endeavors that they care about, right? Maybe it's churches or specific religious endeavors or charities and whatever it is your passion is for. And I want to share some reasons that I talk about with our clients around something specific, which is donating appreciated stock, because donating appreciated stock has a lot of benefits to it, not just the act of giving it. It's one of the easiest ways to give to causes that you care about. So quick background here. If you own any kind of stocks, for example, they may have appreciated since you purchased them. Any value of your holdings has grown through portfolio balances or if you hire a good investment manager. And if you think about this, it's what I want to encourage you when you're giving to charity. You can actually do this, believe it or not, without paying taxes on it. So it's really important to go through this because donating stock directly to the charity is one of the most tax smart ways to give. Yet, believe it or not, it's mostly not well understood or even widely used. Here's a fun fact. According to a 2016 study by Fidelity Charitable, 80% of donors own appreciated stock assets like mutual funds or bonds or stocks, but only 21% of those donors have contributed these types of assets to charity. So here are 4 reasons I think you should give stock donation a try. Number 1 is this, and I already alluded to it, which is you can give more by donating stock that's appreciated for more than a year. You're actually giving specifically 20% more than if you sold the stock and then made a cash donation. The reason is simple: avoiding capital gains taxes. So the maximum federal capital gains tax is 20% on long-term holdings. Now, this is a federal, not state side, so it's different. But if you look at many years over the past, 10 years, let's say, you're likely to have a taxable profit on your assets if you've been invested in the market. So of sale of assets that you purchased really in the past couple of years. But if you donate the stock directly to charity, there's no capital gains tax to pay. Plus, you are still eligible to deduct the full fair market value of the asset you donated for your income taxes up to the overall amount allowed by the IRS. And remember, you should always talk about your CPA. And remember also that your appreciated stock assets or your appreciated assets can also include assets that aren't necessarily publicly traded, like restricted stock, maybe even cryptocurrency, things like that. Again, with all these things, you should talk with your CPA or your tax preparer. Now, reason number 2 that I think you should consider stock donations is you can potentially reduce future capital gains. Here's how. So many investors out there have stocks that they love and want to hold for the long term, and that's great. Any appreciation of that stock's value confirms your belief in it, obviously, right? But it can also set the stage for substantial gains when you do choose to sell it, whether you need it or something else happens. So consider donating some of your appreciated shares and then buying new shares to reset your cost base at the current higher price. This obviously will reduce your future capital gains tax exposure if the stock does continue to grow in value. So I think it's important to look at. Number 3 reason I think is this: it's a great time when you do this to give your portfolio what I'll call an update or a health check. Look, I always relate this to like a diet or a workout or something like that, right? Even with a good diet and regular exercise, your health can get out of balance. And this is the same with your stock portfolio. So if a review of your investment gains and losses shows that it's time to rebalance your portfolio, something I talk about here all the time, really in order to maximize its performance and optimize it for risk, I think donating stock can give your portfolio the health check it may need. Now, obviously, overall strategy, a donation strategy in particular, it puts your capital gains to work and it funds your philanthropic endeavors. And number 4 is you can donate stocks without headaches. And I threw this one in there because I think it's important to do this with ease. Look, some people may not be interested in donating stock because they think it will require a lot of paperwork and a lot of phone calls, or their chosen charity or purpose may not be able to easily accept a stock donation. But there's things like donor advised funds you can look at. There's lots of ones there that you can go through and research and go through with your advisor. And a donor advised fund is like a charitable investment account, which can be used exclusively to support charities that you care about. So instead of donating multiple blocks of stocks to multiple charities, you can make one donation really easy, which is used to fund, let's call it your giving account. And there's one form to fill out with your tax return instead of a bunch. And I also would say if you're going to like a church or something like that, you can also talk with them if they're able to receive these directly as well. So a donor advised fund is good if you don't know the charities right away, but I think it's also important to ask the charities themselves if they can take it directly, okay? And if you're not sure which charity receive appreciated stock, you don't have to really decide now, like I said, okay? I mean, donating stock to the DAF, the donor advised fund, allows you to take the deduction for the current year and then support as many charities as you would like over time. Pretty cool. So it also allows you to kind of like, dip your toes in there, if you will. So I think those are the 4 reasons I want to share here at the end of the year to look at donating stocks to charity, to give more to the causes that you care about while also helping your taxes. I hope you enjoyed that today. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the show and always remember to make your money matter.